Welcome guys to a brand new segment of BollyFools where we talk about our favourite top 5, top 3, top 10 scenes, actors, actresses, you name it, we break it down. So Ravi, what are we doing today? What are we looking at?
We're doing the top 3 Ajith kind of cool action scenes.
Now, it's taken us a long time, guys. A lot of preparation goes into this. We sit down, we watch the film, and then we break down the scenes to what they mean to us and where we feel they sit within our top 3, obviously, when we're looking at Ajith action scene moments. So, before we start, I think we need to give a special shout out to the scene that didn't make it, which came in at number 4.
Came in at number something. So the films we're going to do, they're in no particular order, but one that was obviously very dear was Veeram, the transformation scene, the very first transformation scene. Now, it was the first Ajith film we'd ever seen, so that made it a little bit extra special.
At the cinema.
Well, okay, it was the first Ajith film we'd ever seen at the cinema, so it made it extra special. But we had to shout that out. It was a mental scene, and it was really tough to not put it in the top 3.
Yeah. Right. So and that scene was it was the boat scene, right?
The boat scene.
The boat crazy scene. You guys know what we're talking about. So this is not in any particular order?
No particular order. Although
I think we should do an order, Ravi. I like these orders. Can we do a top 3, please?
in order.
In order.
Alright.
Okay, so what we got?
So number 3, and actually probably because the whole film's actually really good, comes the scene in the warehouse, the shoot-off, or shooting face-off, in Yennai Arindhaal.
Yeah, the way this was put together, the sort of moment where Ajith walks up to the gangsters at the time, and they look at him, all very confused. You're also kind of confused at the same time, thinking, where is this going to go? What mainly stood out for us was the way it looked, the way it felt. Very real, very realistic, and very incredibly tense.
Yeah, it was a desaturated colour palette, which made it look really, really gritty and authentic. But one of the things that was really cool was it was really visceral. When people shot the gun, when Ajith shot his gun, you could see what looked like a straight bullet hole go through people. And you do see that obviously in films, but it was almost like R-rated in the way the action was done, and the way he worked his way through all of the bad guys up until he went to the boss. It was just a really, really slick scene, and the fact that he wasn't just killing everyone gave it that more authenticity, and maybe dialed it down a bit, which is why the overall film, Yennai Arindhaal, was really, really enjoyable. Even though some people say it was boring, I thought it was great.
Now guys, it was very difficult for us, but Veeram came in at number 2, and the scene that we're all looking at the moment is the scene where a group of bad guys come into the village, and Ajith's friends, they're basically lined up, very confident in what's about to happen next. You're the viewer thinking to yourself, okay, how are they going to deal with these bad guys? And what a beautiful introduction, what a beautiful shot as Ajith swings in.
யாருக்கு அஞ்சாதாளு அங்க பாரா.
The thing about this, not just the scene actually, but the film, there's that whole, I won't say 80s, but there's that feel of going back to the village, and the typical kind of village hero role that was made famous in the original Bollywood action sort of films. And Ajith has that role here. Outnumbered, humble, from a small village, has to overcome those odds. Now these guys obviously think they're coming in to deal with a chump. They quickly figure out that they're not. And it just had that fun element to the action. I mean, things like Yennai Arindhaal we spoke about a minute ago, very, very hardcore. This was the other end of the spectrum. And it was nicely done, and I could believe it because Ajith has that style of character. So number one, listen, we're both big fans of fizzy drinks, we're both big fans of sunglasses, both big fans of aeroplanes, both big fans of guns, both big fans of action scenes. When you bring all of that together, what do you get?
Now, the reason why this scene stood out for us, and sure, you guys could argue that there's other better scenes out there, action scenes for Ajith, but the reason why this sort of resonated with us is because when we start watching, doing trailer reactions for Ajith films, and then obviously watching the films as well, this was one of the second or the first that we saw. Everyone who's a fan of Ajith told us to check this trailer out. And when we saw it, we obviously watched the film and it just echoed on us. It echoed the coolness factor, it echoed the sort of 80s film style. And I liked the colour palette, slightly blue, but I did like it. I liked what it did for the scene.
So, there's a lot of blue. Actually reminds me of probably my favourite visual film director, which is Michael Mann. And it did a really, really good job of establishing, earlier in the film anyway, he's established as a cool guy. The whole film is built around his presence as a one-man kind of badass killing machine. And this scene was supposed to be like, oh, this is the bit that's going to undo him, right? And he was just so cool, calm and collected. Now, it's funny because normally I'd say, oh, it was really cheesy that you threw the can up in the air and all that. And it kind of was. But because he was so cool and so many of those bits have been established in his character through so many of his films, it just kind of came together in Billah. And going back nearly 10 years, I say 8 give or take, and still thinking that actually this scene is pretty freaking cool, says a lot about Ajith and it says a lot about this film and that scene. So number one, in the end, was Billah. Maybe not the purest action scene, maybe not the very best one technically, but bringing around everything that Ajith stands for as an actor and the roles he's played, combined with just some really cool cinematography and a moment in the scene which you can laugh at, you can sort of gawp at, and you can just enjoy. Billah.
Guys, let us know. We want to hear back from you. What were your top 5 action scenes of Ajith? Put it down in the comment section. Did you agree with us? Did you disagree with us? We want to hear back from you. If you liked this episode, tell us more. Tell us other scenes or other actors or other situations that you would like to see from Indian content. Do not forget to like, share, comment and subscribe. It's your boy Salam.
Ravi.
Peace.
Take care.